One of the biggest impediments to businesses operating in Africa is access to finance and access to affordable and reliable power.
African markets often require adaptive business models to solve complex problems, and there's a lot of risk involved in that. The Facility for Energy Inclusion, or FEI, was set up to fill this gap, to create non-traditional solutions that are missing in the market.
We're in a massive transition at the moment where decarbonization needs to and will happen. The technology is there. In an African context, I think what we've seen is actually the reason to decarbonize is that it's cheaper to do so. Renewable power solutions, coupled with the reliability and redundancy offered with battery storage, can deliver on-site power cheaper than many businesses currently are paying. Without that reliability and affordability, African businesses can't compete on a global scale.
FEI provides the flexible, early-stage capital to companies like CrossBoundary that provide the critical power infrastructure that African economies require to grow.
CrossBoundary Energy is a distributed utility, so we provide on-site renewable energy power solutions to businesses operating across Africa. QMM project in Madagascar is a Rio Tinto-owned mine, one of the largest corporate investments in Madagascar and one of the largest employers in the region. We, over the last 4 years, have been working with QMM to progressively try and decarbonize their operations, specifically through the use of solar, wind, and battery energy storage to reduce their reliance on what otherwise would be 100% heavy fuel oil-fired generation. Because the national grid doesn't serve this region, we're actually now providing renewable source power to not just QMM, but actually to the local community as well.
Distributed renewable energy solutions save money for African businesses and make them more competitive. The challenge for companies like CrossBoundary is access to capital.
Political and regulatory winds in Africa change quite frequently and quite severely. Lenders and investors in Africa are acutely aware of the risks. It's just a negative feedback loop where uncertainty and risk then results in less finance being made available to businesses. One of the other challenges of being a growing business in Africa is that fundraising timelines and processes are unpredictable and they can delay. Business doesn't stop because the fundraising process is ongoing. If we win a project with a commercial client, they expect that project to be progressed and picked up on day one. Finding the right funding and being able to make that available to the business community is transformative.
What CrossBoundary needed was immediate capital that would allow them to showcase the larger economic opportunity while long-term capital was being negotiated. FEI came in with a construction bridge loan of $30 million that allowed CrossBoundary to roll out its infrastructure and create the track record that would attract other, more traditional investors.
FEI were extremely catalytic for CrossBoundary Energy. On quite a tight timeline, FEI came in with a creative but fair and flexible debt structure that really allowed us to help build our portfolio up to scale.
Within a year, FEI brought in Standard Bank, and together we replaced the construction facility with a $140 million long-term debt facility. This was one of the largest financing packages ever raised for a distributed energy company in Africa.
FEI have provided funding to a number of players in the sector and across Africa. So I think when it comes to structuring and it comes to risk, they probably have the best informed view of how our business models work and how to craft solutions that work for us.
With CrossBoundary, we took a promising company, leveraged its unique strengths, and propelled it forward to become one of the leading distributed energy companies in Africa. FEI also invests in energy companies like Nuran Wireless that focus on providing basic services to neglected areas, services that have a huge economic impact.
Connectivity is extremely important, especially to give the population living in those deep rural areas the access to the rest of the world. Everybody talks about rural connectivity, but is there really an investment being done today? The answer is not much.
Nuran Wireless is a network-as-a-service company specializing in last-mile connectivity in remote areas across Africa. They work in partnership with traditional mobile network operators, or MNOs, to bridge the digital divide.
Today, we are serving more than 1 million people. And our objective is to serve more than 50 million people with 5,000 sites. We operate now in Cameroon as well as in DRC. We're just opening Ivory Coast, Benin, and Madagascar.
Despite a public service obligation, leading MNOs are not reaching populations in remote low-density areas. because they haven't come up with a commercially viable model for rural customers. What was necessary was a bit of creative thinking, a service that could be delivered through less expensive equipment to keep it affordable for remote communities.
The technology we've developed allows to connect 5,000 people with the equivalent of a light bulb power consumption. There's no fiber optic, there's no wire, there's nothing. So the signals has to come from another source, and that source is typically VSAT, or satellite connectivity. And satellite connectivity is extremely costly, and we have found a way to reduce and optimize this usage of the bandwidth.
We spent a lot of time with Neuron to understand their business model that found the right equilibrium between service level and affordability.
You know, energy is considered utilities, so if it's there, people will use it. Telephony, it's the same thing. Once you've touched and tasted that service, you want to continue to use it. If you start with 2G, then it will be 3G, then it will be 4G, 5G we'll see in the rural space.
Neuron was at an inflection point where it required additional capital. We came in with a $5 million bridge loan that allowed Neuron to continue to roll out their infrastructure and create the track record needed to raise long-term financing.
Faye really understood what the challenge of our business was and adapted their solution towards that. Faye has a really good understanding of this working environment. They were open, really open-minded. We've discussed the regulatory framework, the deployment flow that is complex, the importation, exportation flows. It's never a straight line, if I can say it like this. So you have to be adaptive, you have to be flexible, and Faye has demonstrated this flexibility that allows us to be where we are today. We started with $2.50 ARPU in Cameroon. We're now close to $4. So there's an evolution. Something is happening. And it's creating local economy, it's creating a lot of things. Faye believed in us, and that's the best thing that has happened. We now have the munition to build our dream and to demonstrate the full potential of our business model.
To date, Faye has committed close to $400 million and catalyzed over $1 billion of investment into the energy sector. But there's a lot more that can and needs to be done. We're confident about the role we play in Africa's energy transition, and our ambition is to grow Faye's portfolio to over $1 billion. Thank you to our investors for your generous support.